Hi there, and welcome to another edition of the Premier Investments and Wealth Management Financial Program. My name is Doug Wagner, and I'm your host. Before I introduce the three gentlemen sitting around the table with me to you, I want to make sure that you have the opportunity to grab your phone, your tablet, and your laptop, wherever. Open up your favorite browser and go to premieriwm.com. When you're there, click on Get Started, because when you do that, you'll answer a few questions, and then you'll be provided a one-page Premier Vision document. See, most people around the country, in fact, a lot of people listening to this program, they don't know what their financial future looks like. It's because they don't have time, they hadn't thought about it, maybe even a little bit scared of what the financial future looks like. We don't have to be. It's better to be informed, and they can help you do that at Premier Investments in Wealth Management. They will sit down with you with that one-page Premier Vision document, a free, no-obligation consultation, and they will walk through it with you, and then you can sit down and talk about your investment future. What does that financial roadmap look like? Saving for your retirement, saving for your children's education, saving for that dream second home, lake house, maybe a fishing cabin or a hunting cabin. PremierIWM.com. You can make your appointment online, or you can call 800-383-6590. That's 800-383-6590. Premier Investments in Wealth Management, named to Forbes 2026 Best in State Wealth Management Teams. Next to me, he's a new sheriff of town. He's Vice President, Wealth Advisor with Premier Investments. He is a certified exit planning advisor. That is Elias Randall. Hi,
hello,
Elias.
Doug.
How are you?
Good. How are you today?
Good. We're going to talk basketball? No? Okay.
Nope. We can if you want.
I think we got all that out of the way a couple minutes ago.
Well, both my favorite teams lost over the weekend, so.
Sorry about that.
Oops.
Yep. We'll work on that. You still have plenty of time.
Well, the Iowa Hawkeyes are one of my favorite teams. They lost in the Big Ten championship. Mm-hmm. And then the Mighty Mustangs of Mount Vernon High School are my other favorite team, and they lost in the state championship the other night. So,
but they had two players on the tournament team, and then the captain of the tournament team was from Mount Vernon, too.
I bet you she'd trade in that captain for the other trophy.
I'll bet you she would. I'll bet you
it
she
is
would.
what
Just
it is.
Trying to find a little consolation. Speaking of consolation prize, Jonas Everett here, wealth advisor with over 31 years.
Hey, it's better than being It's better than being a lifetime supply of rice-a-roni, Doug.
Over 31 years of experience in the investment industry. You know I love you, Jonas.
I love you too, Doug.
It's getting about that time of year where we're going to get the sticks out, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll go from the simulator straight to the golf course.
How about that Zach Johnson? Can you believe that? First start on the senior tour, the Champions Tour, and he takes the dub.
That's so awesome.
I know. That was amazing. That was really good
stuff. We
get
to see him in June, I think. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Coming back here to the hometown. Exactly. Finally, on the end of the table, he's President Wealth Advisor, Premier Investments in Wealth Management, Accredited Investment Fiduciary, or an AIF. His certified exit planning advisor, or a CEPA. He's got 22 years plus in the investment industry. He got Godzilla. He conquered King Kong. He is the big kahuna, Roger Abel.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you very much.
How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
I'm feeling old when you just said Zach Johnson joined the senior tour. What?
He turned 50 on February 24th. And then he goes out and
because he's not a senior.
Yeah. Well,
I guess.
Neither am I. Jonas and I are seniors now. You get the senior discount?
Well, I just flip it around. You know, the upside down question.
Okay.
I'm 45, not 54. So that makes me feel better every time I do that.
But I know you take the discount every time you can get it. Can I get my $3 off?
That's great.
How old does a PGA player have to be to play in the senior?
50.
It's 50?
Yeah, 50.
I don't think that's
pretty
a
young.
senior.
Wow.
I think 60 should be the senior.
Yeah, but you think about
write a letter to the PGA and let them know.
Yeah. They're going to listen to me for
all
sure.
they put their bodies through. You'd think that golf is a low impact sport until you see some of these guys play golf. It's not anymore. It's.
Do they swing hard?
Hey,
I'm joking.
Boy, could put a knee out there. So first question, let's head over to Jonas.
You said it's not a low impact sport.
It is not a low impact sport.
Okay.
Well, Tiger can barely walk. Have you seen Tiger lately? He's in bad shape.
Car accidents.
Oh, well,
I
that's
don't know if
good.
it has a whole lot to do with golf.
Yeah, it's a little more impact.
Smashing the back window of his Cadillac.
There's a whole
too,
bunch
so
of reasons. Just,
Is this a financial
short
show?
memories.
Welcome to the Premier Investments and Wealth Management Variety Show.
Also
Okay,
known as Maury.
let's get serious here. Jonas, first question is for you. I'm 185 yards from the green. I'm just kidding. Eric wants to know, I'm
Driver.
32 years old. I want to start investing outside of my 401k. I've met with two different advisors who both wanted to sell me a financial plan before investing. I'm just starting out and I don't think I need a financial plan. Can't I just start investing and figure out the planning part later? I'm going to jump over you and say, good on you for meeting with multiple people.
Absolutely. Great question, Eric. You definitely can invest without a formal financial plan. Actually, you already are investing in your 401k without a formal financial plan. It's very, very common. You look at the 77 million baby boomers, how many of them started in their 401ks without a formal financial plan? Now, getting a plan done, investing without a plan is okay, but it might be incomplete. And what we're seeing, Doug, is we're seeing a lot of people, especially age of 32, fast forward 30 years from now, and we call this the do-over question that we ask for our 62-year-olds that have done a good job saving money.
Yeah.
If you've had anything to do over, if you could do anything over financially, what would it be? And they said, I would like to have a bigger pile of tax-free money. I just feel like I have so much money that's never been taxed before, and it's kind of a rock in my shoe. And I don't know if I should touch it. I know my kids are going to have to spend it in 10 years. So Eric has an opportunity to do a financial plan and almost hire a research department and actually have that financial office walk him through how much he should be putting in an after-tax account. How much should he have in an emergency fund? Does he have any high interest debt? Can we get that paid off? Is he a homeowner yet? Can we plan on him buying a home? And all of these things is what a formal financial plan can do. But a lot of it at 32, if he doesn't want to spend the time and have the lab work done so we can do a really good physical, he can just come in for like a foundational planning meeting, and we can talk about how much he can put in an after-tax account, how much he should have in an emergency fund, how to pay his credit card off, and then if he's planning on a big purchase like a home, we can help him with those foundational planning approaches without doing a full-blown financial plan for him.
At 32 years old, even the smallest changes or additions to or even subtractions can make a huge difference down the road.
Oh, absolutely. Just imagine if he's hiring a financial office to work with the next 30 years. It's almost like hiring a research department.
Yeah.
He would be able to not have to keep track of all the tax law changes like the Big Beautiful Bill Act and things like that. He would just have an office to work with over the next 30 years. So we would love to have more people in their 30s sign up.
Yeah. Elias, a question for you off of this is something for me as I read this, and I was reading maybe too far into this. Somebody wanted to sell them a financial plan before investing. What that sounds is like they're almost trying to, it's a product, not an investment. How often do people run into that?
That they're buying a product instead of
somebody's
a plan?
trying to sell them a product instead of trying to help
I'm sure
them
it
plan
happens
for
all the
retirement.
time. I'm sure it does. I don't have a great answer for that because I really don't know, because we do planning here at our firm. So that's really the foundation of making all these decisions. Here's what I'll say for Eric. And I want to quantify something a little bit. I don't think he said a full financial plan. I don't think you have to have anything. You don't have to look at it as a quarter full or half full or full. Maybe at 32, his plan is to get started with some basic habits. And I think that in itself is a good plan that should be executed.
Yeah.
So, and it doesn't, I think whether it's get started or you have some other needs that should be addressed, I think he's doing a good thing for himself and he's setting himself up for success.
Yeah.
So I don't know, if maybe It's possible he met with someone and they said that they're going to do financial planning and maybe they're trying to sell him some product or some sort of insurance product or something. I don't know. There's not enough information to figure that out. But I think here's the key thing. You're on the right path. You're getting started. And sometimes a new investor, that's all they need. That's as much of a plan that they need today. Hey, how do I open an account? How do I fund it? How should I do it every week? Should I do it every month? That's a good plan to get started. Now it's going to evolve and change. Your life's, there'll be layers of complexity you can add down the road, but the first thing is get started with something.
You know what? That's really a good point, because I was thinking the whole rock in your shoe, get things started. And then I started thinking about, the grain of sand in an oyster that creates a pearl. And you're talking about layers of complexity. That's how a pearl grows inside an oyster, is that you have those layers of complexity. You can start doing that. 32 is a perfect time. Make sure that you're getting in touch with our friends at Premier Investments and Wealth Management in order to help establish some of those goals and help establish some of those best habits and things like that. The research team, that's what they have in the back office. PremierIWM.com, or you can call 800-383-6590 for Premier Investments and Wealth Management. Roger, Tanner wants to know, would leaving my job before I'm fully vested in the 401k be a bad move? I started a new job 4 years ago, been contributing to my 401k and getting a 3% employer match. I recently got an offer for another job with similar pay. I'm about 17 months away from being fully vested in my current company's 401k, and if I walk away now, I will lose 40% of the employer match, which is about $11,000 with gains. I'm 45. I didn't do a great job saving until I reached my mid-30s. I'm worried about the impact of giving up that money. Should I stick it out until I'm fully vested?
Maybe, maybe not. It's a hard question to ask. When someone's switching jobs, I really like to think about, why are we switching jobs? I had another customer call me with this same exact scenario. And the questions to ask yourself at the new job, you have higher earning potential. Are you switching to make more in the future? Because Tanner told us it's a lateral move right now. So there's something making him want to move. It's either more opportunity in the future, could be better benefits overall. Maybe his current employer doesn't have health insurance, or there's some other benefit he's getting. It's not available where they're at. Could be more flexibility. It could be a better retirement plan or a better match. So you kind of have to ask those questions first and answer those before you can just say, yes, it's worth giving up this $11,000 or not. If I peel back the onion, I would guess Tanner's unhappy where he is. That's where he's looking. And very few times in my career have I told somebody to stick it out to get the employer match that's not vested. Yeah. And if I were to think about it, my guess is Tanner's not happy and has more potential at the new job. And if that's the case, then I wouldn't stick it out. If this is a purely lateral job, you're happy where you're at, you got recruited by somebody for this new job, but you're not unhappy where you're at, maybe I would stick it out then. But typically, if you're sticking around to vest some employer match, I don't know if I've ever given that advice. It's usually do what makes you happy. And you kind of have to see what your overall plan looks like. He says he hasn't done a good job. He could sit down with an advisor here at the table. Yeah. Spend a few hours of his time and figure it out with some level of certainty versus guessing, how does this $11,000 impact me over the next 20 years? Because that's what you're asking. What's the impact of $11,000 over the next 20 years, assuming he retires at 67? For most people, $11,000 is not making or breaking your retirement.
Makes sense. And this is something, Jonas, where you all are more than just, wealth advisors in a lot of cases. You actually sit down and you go through the sort of counseling with people as well. They bounce a lot of things off you because you have a lot of people in a whole panoply of career fields that experience things like this.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of the millennials are looking for a nice job, a career that offers maybe more work-life balance. So there has to be something driving this person to look at that switch like that, because it comes up to about $700 a month. I mean, $11,000 for a young person is a lot of money to be left on the table. So there has to be more opportunity, more work-life balance, something about this new job that wants to make him switch.
Common sense, reasonable conversations about your investments, but more than that, it's about lifestyle awareness as well. Premier Investments in Wealth Management. That's one of the nice things about you walk into the office and you see all sorts of different people, different ages, different skill sets, front office, back office, and it all leads to very well balanced decision making. If that's what you're looking for in an investment and wealth advisor, Premier Investments in Wealth Management is worth the time to get to know. PremierIWM.com. Click Get Started, and then you will get provided a one-page Premier Vision document and a free meeting to go over it with them. You can also just make your appointment online at PremierIWM.com, or you can call 800-383-6590. That's 800-383-6590. Premier Investments in Wealth Management, named to Forbes 2026 Best in State Wealth Management Team. Question 3, Elias, this one's going to you from Lisa, who wants to know, my aunt passed away last year. I just found out I'm the beneficiary of her IRA, which has about $450,000 in it. I got some paperwork from her financial advisor to fill out, and it asks if I want to take the full amount now or spread it out. I don't have my own financial advisor currently, and my aunt's advisor isn't returning my calls. I'm not sure what to do.
I can tell you 800
383-6590.
We'll pick up the phone, I promise.
Yes, I'm not sure what to do. Is there one option that's better than
We'll even interrupt this recording program to call you right back.
Lisa wants to talk to you.
Lisa, sorry to hear about your aunt's passing. That's unfortunate. So you inherited some money in an IRA. I would say the simple thing to do in this situation is make what's called the 10-year election, which most non-spouse beneficiaries can make this election. And here's the good news. Even if you make that 10-year election and then decide, no, I just want to cash it all out, you'll still have that option. So there's a little more flexibility in regards to doing that. So what does that 10-year rule mean? So that rule means for most, well, let's talk about two things. One, if you're a spouse and you inherit a retirement account, you can take over ownership of that account like it was yours. So this is a situation where it's a non-spouse inheriting the account. So order of operations, you're going to receive the inheritance. You will start, if you make the 10-year rule election, you will start a 10-year period that you need to take the money out. And we don't need to get in the weeds on it, but there's some different rules around required withdrawals every year. It's a little bit confusing, but that's something for our clients. The good news is we manage that for them, helping them make all of those decisions. So the taxes do matter in this situation because this is all pre-tax money, never been taxed. So let's say you do take all $450,000 out today. Well, that will add $450,000 of income to your taxable income, and that will be taxed as ordinary income. So wherever you're at, right, that could be really expensive.
Oh, yeah.
Even if your income's zero, if you take out all $450,000, that's going to be fairly expensive to do. If you're Medicare age, this could actually increase your Medicare premiums depending on how it impacts your overall income. And I don't know why. Someone asked me the other day why. I don't know why, but Medicare looks at your income from 2 years ago when they determine what your premiums are going to be. And then it would also impact maybe any capital gains or just other tax situations you would have in your life. So most of the time people spread the withdrawals out over 10 years. And then once you decide to do that, it's something that should be addressed every year, at least talked about, and what do you want to do with it? I have run into situations where people inherited money between like 55 and 60, right? And they were already thinking about transitioning to retirement, and then they inherit a chunk of money that they have to take it out of the account anyway. So sometimes this event will accelerate someone's retirement timeline. So for Lisa, it's unfortunate you're not getting your phone calls returned, but those are some basic highlights to help you. This is an important decision that does need to be made. So I think if it would have been nice if your aunt's advisor would have helped you, because then maybe just you would have let them keep some of the money. But if you don't call her back, she might be looking for help from somewhere else now.
Again, 800-383-6590. Question that I do have about this is that can you make an option to say, you know what, I'm going to do this over 10 years and maybe 2 years into it, you change your mind and then you say, okay, I need to take this in a lump sum. Or can you change that as you make your way through, or is it a one and done?
Well, once you make the election, there's because there's a 10-year option, there's a 5-year option. Once you make that, you can't change that election.
Okay.
But as long as you're taking out what's the minimum requirement every year, that's all you're required to do.
And that's that 10% a year, roughly.
Yeah, that's not required, but that's a good way to think about it. If you wanted to spread it, if you wanted to take it over 10 years, yes, you're going to have to take somewhere in the ballpark, 10 to 15%. It might change every year. I mean, the last couple of years, it's been hard for people with the gains in the market, that's been hard for them to kind of get into the principal. So sometimes you have to take extra money.
Most people are just taking the required amount, and then they're going to have to take a lump sum in the end. But it's a good reason to have an advisor. We have several customers we're working with that are arranging retirement around inherited IRAs that they've gotten, meaning they're 55. They want to retire at 60. So they're taking the minimum for the first 5 years. The next 5, they're going to exhaust the entire thing. So it's not like you have to take the same amount. You have to take a minimum amount, and you can take as much above that as you want. If you took it all in year 2, they don't care. IRS just wants your money out in 10 years, all of it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's a traditional IRA or a Roth IRA. Your Roth IRAs now still have to have the money out in 10 years.
Okay, makes sense. Premier Investments in Wealth Management. You're listening to the show, watching the show here. We do this every week along with Elias Randall and Jonas Everett and Roger Abel. My name's Doug Wagner. We've got question number 4, and we're going to put this out to the board. Parker wants to know, I'm 34. I have about $25,000 in credit card debt. Where do I start fixing this? Well, I guess the question I have, is that common or is that uncommon now? Because I know that since the free flow of COVID money stopped in about 2022, people spent all that money down and they've just shoved everything onto credit cards. So
Yes,
is this common?
credit card debt's very common. A lot of people have credit card debt.
And they have buy now, pay later debt.
Yeah, which is not counted
Just saying.
among those things too. So, Jonas, you got a twinkle in your eye?
I do. Parker, great question. You know, I would have you focus on how'd you do it? How'd you get $25,000 in credit card debt?
Which is easy to figure out.
Yeah.
It's all right there.
It's all right there. It's an itemized bill, right? So how'd you do it, Parker? And let's start focusing on some behaviors to make sure that you can turn this thing around. And, you know, there's some methods out there, but ultimately he has to step on the scale and he has to get the lab work done and figure out what in the world happened for him to get $25,000 in credit cards.
I like the way you put this. You've got a number of different things that are very, you can see it in your mind's eye. Step on the scale, get the lab work done, got a rock in your shoe. But then once you get to that point where you figure out how you get there, what's the next step? You start it by diagnosing how you got where you are. What's the next step after that?
I think next step is, what's my overall budget look like? What do I bring in for income? What is going out and where is it going? Because you have to figure out how much extra money you can put on this $25,000 each month to get rid of it. And if you go through this exercise where, let's say you make $5,000 a month and you're spending $5,200 a month, you've diagnosed the problem.
Yeah.
You don't bring enough in, or you need to spend less. If you can't spend less, next option is Uber.
You work more.
Yeah.
It's a second job.
Second income.
The math is simple, but until you actually sit down and look at the math, which most people don't do, they're like, oh, I got $25,000. How am I going to pay it off? Oh, I'm going to do a balance transfer. That's not paying it off.
No.
That's delaying a problem. So you need to figure out what comes in, what goes out. Once we know those numbers, then we can decide how much we can attack in this $25,000.
How important is it to have an emergency fund alongside all this too? Because it sounds like maybe he's had some, if you have $25,000, either you just like spend, or it's been spend. Oh man, I need brand new tires for the car, and didn't expect that one coming.
So, question is, how important is an emergency fund?
Yes, sir.
I'll answer that with a question. How important is it that your house has a foundation?
It's critical. Otherwise, it just
You don't
kind of
just build your house
collapses.
on the side of a hill, do you?
No.
No.
What? Wow, you just went all
Good one,
biblical
huh?
on me.
There you go.
That was decent, wasn't
Deep
it?
thoughts.
What?
That was really good.
That was
I
good.
enjoy it.
I got it.
I mean, you just don't start building it on the dirt.
Yeah. No.
So, same thing with your financial picture. You need an emergency fund.
If you're taking a look at paying things off, Jonas, there's a couple of different ways to look at actually paying things off. And I mean, a lot of it depends on what your proclivities are. A lot of engineers like to dig into the numbers and say proclivities and say, I'm going to go after the high interest rate ones first and then start doing that. But there are other people who say, I need satisfaction. They're going to go with a low balance one first and work their way through.
They're going to pay off their smallest debts first, and that's motivating. That creates some good behaviors. You get excited about that, and you want to keep going with paying off debt. And I like both of the methods. The numbers people, like you said, they would tackle the high interest credit card first. 27% is a heck of a return to make on your investments. It's a lot of money to pay the bank. So however you do it, Parker, make a decision and make it happen. I like what the kahuna says. Let's keep track of our finances on a weekly basis because this has gotten out of control. 25,000 in credit card debts. Let's look at it on a weekly basis. Let's create what I call a financial command center at your house or your apartment where you're just focusing 5 minutes a day on tackling this debt problem. And I think it's going to be worth it.
Roger, go
I
ahead.
had a comment about the two ways to pay it off, avalanche or snowball. And typically there's a lot of science that says snowball works the best. Here's the idea of the avalanche. You know, it's for numbers people. Most numbers people don't get into this problem.
Yeah.
They're numbers people. They understand how that compound interest works. And that's the reality. I think that's why people have gravitated towards the snowball. You know, I don't run into too many engineers that have $25,000 on a credit card.
Yeah.
Because they understand how the numbers work. So we've always talked about that. I just wanted to throw that out there. That I think that snowball is the way to attack this for 90+% of the people out there.
That's so great because I had one of my customers, his mom worked at a bank and he used to go in there with was it the debit sheet or how did you make deposits on
Deposit slip.
Deposit slips.
Deposit slip or my passbook.
Yeah, the passbook. That's
passbook,
what I was. So he went in and his mom always taught him, she worked at the bank, you either understand interest or you pay it.
Makes sense.
And he kept that.
I know, and I remember that.
He's done well financially.
Yeah, I still have that old passbook from my first savings and loan when we used to do that. And when you'd go in and you make a deposit, and they would have that little item of the pennies of interest that you would make between the two deposits, which was really cool. You know what? It's pennies, it's dollars, it's thousands of dollars. Premier Investments and Wealth Management cares about every single one of those. They want to help you make wise decisions about your financial future. You can reach out to them online and make your appointment at premieriwm.com. You can also, while you're there, there's really cool stuff. The Investor's Guide series on the website at Premier Investments and Wealth Management website. I suggest that you download that, make it required reading, and just sort of go over. Put that in your financial war room, the way that Jonas said. PremierIWM.com or make your appointment at 800-383-6590. Premier Investments and Wealth Management, named a Forbes 2026 Best in State Wealth Management Team. Jonas, Don wants to know the answer to this question. My wife is very anxious about running out of money. We are 64. I recently retired and she's still working part-time. I've been working with a financial advisor. I'm confident where we stand financially, but nothing seems to convince my wife. I've brought her to meetings with her financial advisor, but the conversations stir up her anxiety rather than calm her. Do you have any advice on how I can help alleviate her fears? Now you're a marital counselor as well.
Thanks, Don. And sorry for all the engineers out there. This isn't a math problem. This is an emotional problem. And it's completely understandable because you're heading into a major life shift. And it reminds me of some of my favorite customers. They were husband and wife small business owners. And his philosophy, he would work all the time. His philosophy, he was this nervous about money, and he was a multimillionaire. He always said, if you're not working, you're spending money. And any of the vacations they went on were company trips. And it's completely understandable, Don, for your wife to get nervous about money. A couple of things you can do, I think to help her with emotions is ask her what she's thinking about. Ask her what her concerns are. Is she concerned about a market decline? Is she concerned about maybe having a major health insurance bill? Is she concerned about living too long? Is she concerned about losing her part-time job? All of these are a part of asking that question, what worries you the most? And then when it comes to the math, Doug, it's kind of funny. I get teased at the office for being a little bit too simple. I have a big ceramic golden goose.
Yeah.
That when people are nervous, I say, do you know what this is? And they're like, yeah, that's a golden goose. And I'm like, do you know what this makes? And they're like, of course it makes golden eggs. And I said, well, if you're nervous, what we can do is just live off your interest and dividends, your golden eggs, for a while, just to kind of see what happens. So if you simplify, if your advisor simplifies and changes the conversation for your wife, and maybe show her another strategy too, along with the goose, is show her maybe a bucket strategy. A lot of times people feel better when they see some piles of cash.
Yeah.
They see a bucket of cash and they see a second bucket of cash. What might be happening to your wife, Don, is she's just seeing this investment account balance every quarter or every month, and it's doing nothing for her. And she still feels scared about running out of money. You need to break it down. Sometimes even sending money out now, getting a nice income strategy, looking at all your sources of income. I had one customer just say, send me the cash out now. I want the dividends and interest now to see how it works. That made her feel a lot better. She got a lot less nervous about the war situation, the political situation, and the market situation.
And there are people who were just really, they are hyped up about this. And, it's not unrealistic because you have chaos that occurs on a regular basis. The apocalypse du jour that Jeff Johnston used to talk about. And really, it's about sort of managing, avoiding, minimizing, and mitigating, trying to figure out how to get it. It's almost a little bit of theatrics that you put into that, too, when you're saying about you've got to make the presentation in a way that they can understand it. You have to figure out what their MO is.
You have to understand first in order to be understood, Doug.
That's powerful.
Can I take the mic and
Done.
drop it?
That was powerful.
Yeah.
Way to go, Jonas. End of the show.
I know, exactly. That'll do it for now. I appreciate that, Jonas. Really
good,
good answer
Jonas.
to the question right there. Other questions for you. Roger, you got the next one up. Talia wants to know, my mom's 72. She's adamant on giving my husband and I around $100,000 for a down payment on a new house, with the plan being for her to move into a guest house on her property. I'm big on planning when I have all of our ducks in a row. She mentioned drawing up a zero-interest contract to make it seem official. I'm grateful to my mom for wanting to help us, but I also don't want to impact her or us negatively or cause any confusing financial situations. What should we be considering, or who should we be talking to, or make sure that we don't make a mess of the situation?
It sounds like a mess is going to be made. I'm just joking, but
Yeah.
Good for you for wanting to plan ahead. But anytime there's money or family involved, it's important to understand what the legal ramifications are, the tax ramifications, but probably more importantly, how's this going to affect your family dynamic? Outsider looking in, looks like mom wants to find a place to take care of her as she ages. And if that's what you and your family has decided you want to do, then this might be a good strategy. If you've said, hey, mom, as you age, we plan on taking care of you, it might make sense to have her there. That's kind of the family dynamic part. If your plan is not to take care of your mom as she ages, this likely is not a great idea because I feel like this is what's happening. They're not just giving you the money to give you the money.
Right.
She wants a place to live in the guest house, right? So there's an alternative motive. Step 2 is the actual money here. 1, she could give you $100,000. The question becomes, do you want it to be a gift or do you want it to be a loan? When I loan people money, I don't loan people money. It's a gift. If I get it paid back, I get it paid back. If that's the approach your mom's taking, then just consider it a gift. Maybe it's an early inheritance. Your idea of drawing up a 0% interest contract raises all kinds of other problems.
She's gifting, the mom's gifting it, and she wants to draw up a 0%
Yeah, but
interest
so it's
contract.
all, that's because a 0% contract is not a gift.
Right, and there's consideration on the other end, and what's so.
And now if you have if you draw up a contract of 0% interest, that's a promissory note, right? That is a promissory note between two parties.
Right.
Well, now we have legal ramifications. So I think you just need to understand everything you're getting into. If you decide to go the route of we're going to take this $100,000, we're going to have a promissory note drawn up, have a legal professional and a CPA review it because there might be IRS implications for giving away a loan at 0% interest.
As opposed to making it a gift within the lifetime gift maximum.
Correct. I mean, if I sold my business for less than value to my kids, I have a problem. Same thing, right? Like you're not allowed to do that. There's some IRS implications here. So make sure you're doing this in all the legal manners possible, but more importantly, figure out the logistics from the family dynamics. If she dies, who gets the guest house? Do you? Or are you sharing this with your brothers and sisters?
Is this part of the trust, or was this whole thing? Yeah.
There's so many moving parts here. And if you need the $100,000 for the down payment on the house, this is a personal question. Can you actually afford the house? If you don't have the down payment, there's some unanswered stuff here. But going through my head, why do you need $100,000, and why does your mom want to give you the $100,000 or have a loan for $100,000 out there?
This is a pretty significant piece of property if there's a guest house on it. I mean, there's not a lot of small properties with guest houses on them. Just saying. It's just the way that it works.
There's all these other things. This is your lifetime house.
Yeah.
What if you move? Did your mom move?
Does she stay
Yeah,
there?
this
is a bad situation.
The slope seems slippery.
Ooh, I like that. Okay.
This is the one that looks good on paper and in reality. But in reality, it's probably not going to end well.
Yeah. Everything's fine until you start putting where the rubber meets the road. You get a little friction and things, and all of a sudden things start spinning a little bit.
But this is why people send these questions. This is actually a really dynamic question. What happens if you get a divorce?
Oh, okay.
And think about that.
Yeah.
Like there's just so many moving parts. I don't think this is a great idea, but if you do, make sure you get an attorney, a CPA involved to make sure this is done properly and you're protected from a legal and a tax standpoint.
And you know what? If you don't have a CPA or a tax attorney, that's one of the nice things about Premier Investments and Wealth Management is that they work with individuals within the areas where they have business operations. Doesn't matter where you are. If you're a client, they're going to have somebody, odds are, in the area where you are. So you can work with them and alongside part of a team that's going to be able to help you avoid messy situations. Premier Investments in Wealth Management. Let's not have mess cleanup on aisle 6. Let's make sure that the cleanup doesn't have to be done in the first place. Premier Investments in Wealth Management website, premieriwm.com. Make your appointment there, or you can call 800-383-6590. While you're at the website, click Get Started and answer a few questions. What they'll do is produce a one-page Premier Vision document, and with that, they'll give you a free, no-obligation meeting in person. They'll do it Zoom. You can come into the office. They'll come to you, whatever you decide. The big point is they will give this to you and explain what's the future, your financial future look like. What does this roadmap look like? Premier Investments in Wealth Management. They were named to Forbes 2026 Best in State Wealth Management Teams, 800-383-6590. Elias, Todd wants to know, I'm trying to understand the Social Security survivor benefit. I'm delaying my benefits until age 70. My wife will be 62 in the same year that I turn 70. If she claims her own benefit at that time and it's reduced, will her survivor benefit be reduced once I pass? I will tell you that it used to be where there was a Social Security office that had people who were sitting there. You could actually go in and they could talk you through this stuff. I don't think there's a lot of that anymore. There's
You
not
can
a lot
call.
You can call.
Yeah, you can call.
My parents called me from the Social Security office the other day.
They did?
They're trying to sign up for benefits to ask me a question.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. I was told that there were a bunch of them that were just closed up and.
Well,
Okay.
my aunt works for one too.
Well, there you go. Thank you very much.
They're not totally out of business. They're
Thank
still
you
there.
for disabusing me of
Sorry.
that notion. There's your next one.
Hey,
They
I can't have any
disabuse.
fake news on this network.
No fake news.
They do have billboards out there trying to drive people to the 800 number on the website.
I'm your former host, Doug Wagner. Elias, talk to me
See you
about what
next
Todd's
year.
looking at.
So Todd's question is about survivor benefits, and to answer his question, will his wife's survivor benefit be reduced because of her filing at age 62, essentially? And the answer is no. So her reduced benefit at age 62 does not automatically reduce the survivor benefit. So that would be based on what he is receiving or entitled to receive at the time of death. So he's delaying until age 70. So regardless of what the amount is, it is the maximum amount his Social Security benefit can accumulate to.
Okay.
So here's some details to consider. And we'll break this down to three different things. One, your decision to delay. This does matter. And a lot of times, and this is a very common situation for this question, where the recommendation to delay one of the Social Security checks would be made. So there's an age gap, 70 and 62, right? So 8 years. I'm assuming that as a family, they decided to let Todd's benefit continue to go up until 70 because of longer term income planning. They know that when one of them passes, and assuming it would be him first because he's older, the family will lose one check, and you're going to lose the smaller check that the family's receiving. You do get to keep the higher check. So, and that's what he's asking about, the survivor benefit. So they've done a good job of delaying one of the incomes until 70, because that will be the new survivor benefit. And the other detail, her claiming at 62. So if your wife in this scenario does claim her own retirement benefit at 62, she has permanently reduced her overall benefit from Social Security. Does not impact any survivor benefits that she would be entitled to.
Okay.
And which again, that detail leads me to believe that her benefit was smaller. That's why they're letting Todd's, the husband's, go until age 70. So Social Security decisions are, one, they're not always cut and dry. They're not always easy to make. There's a lot of moving parts when you start to consider it, especially for married couples, and certainly a married couple situation where there's a bigger difference in age. This is something we help clients with a lot. Our planning software has a Social Security planning tool that makes it very easy to walk people through. Hey, these are the scenarios.
Right.
These are the different options for you. Here's some potential outcomes. And it's really a process of educating clients, so then they feel good about the decision they make. And I don't know what the total number of claiming strategies are out there for Social Security. I'm sure it's well into the hundreds, maybe even thousands of different ways to do it. But it is something that you do need to understand and know all the moving parts prior to making a decision. And the decision, once they're made, is essentially made.
Okay.
You only have 12 months to undo it. And if you do it, you got to pay it all back. So it's just a lot better to measure twice and cut once when it comes to this.
Like that. A lot of good aphorisms here. I mean, if you're part of the Premier Investments family, then just get in touch with your person, your wealth advisor who's here. If you're not, but you're thinking about it, I encourage you to go to premieriwm.com. They have one of the downloadable investor guides. This one's for Social Security. Take a look through that. And if you have any questions, they'd be happy to answer them. And you can even take them for a test drive. Kick the tires at Premier Investments and Wealth Management. Do a little interview with them and find out how it matches up between the two of you. PremierIWM.com. Call 800-383-6590. Final question out for the panel. Trent is 40, says, I've never really had any guidance with money. Been figuring it out on my own. We are a single income family and money is tight since having kids. We have 30,000 saved, but still haven't been able to buy a house. Where do I start? What should I do? Am I too late? And we're seeing a lot more of this now, it seems. At least I'm hearing a lot more of it in my job doing my radio show, where you have people, they're priced out of the housing market because of the way that it's inflated and that wages and salaries have not kept up with it. And you're having people who are saying, thought leaders are saying, you know what? The American dream isn't to necessarily own a home anymore.
Well, your home does nothing for you in retirement. It's just a place to live.
Okay.
It really doesn't. So I think about that first, Trent. You owning a home isn't necessary to get financial independence. It's not necessarily needed. They have catch-up contributions in 401ks for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
You're not the only one in this situation. I think what you need to do is clarify, what are our goals? You got to set a goal. Is our goal to retire at X? Is our goal to pay off debt? Is our goal to get a house? Have to set out some clear and concise goals before you can start moving forward and figure out what you want to do. Ultimately, Trent probably needs a financial plan. You got to have a roadmap. We talked about on our podcast earlier. There's a reason there's certain coaches in Iowa that win championships every year.
Mm-hmm.
They put together a better roadmap. It's not that they have better players. It's a better roadmap. And that's probably where Trent falls here.
Okay. Jonas? What are you
I would
thinking?
say great job, Trent. And really try to reframe your thinking, your question about this. You're really not behind. I would have you focus on your successes. You have 30,000 saved up. How'd you do it? And build off of that. And you might want to keep going. And there's a couple of things you can do. Improve your monthly margins. He's got some success mechanisms financially in place already to have $30,000 saved up with a large family and 40 years old. And again, back to what Roger said, the financial plan, somebody to help you make sure that you're maxing out your 401k account, make sure that you have 3 to 6 months in an emergency fund set up, make sure that you're staying away from high interest credit card debt. And again, reframe the question to where you're not necessarily behind, because home ownership, I don't think, is the American dream anymore. Like Roger said, it's just a place to sleep, basically.
It's interesting. So we've got two thought leaders. Do I need a third thought leader at the table saying something similar or the same thing?
Well, I have a question. Roger, do you remember a while back we were figuring out what would the monthly contribution have to be to get to $1 million?
At age 40?
At age 40.
1,600.
It was 1,600. And then was that, we back tested that, right? And it was what, 1,600 a month? If you did that the last 20 years in the stock market, you could get to $1 million. So I think it's not too late. I mean, if their budget's obviously tight, so is saving $1,600 a month realistic for them for investment purposes? Probably not, the way this question's being asked. But at the end of the day, if you could make that happen, it's not too late.
Well, it might happen once the kids are out. I mean, that is my joke in the beginning. That is why they have catch-up contributions. At age 50, you're allowed to put in more money into retirement plans.
Right.
Because it's totally normal, Trent, to be behind at 40. Mm-hmm. You have kids, single income, sounds like your spouse is staying home to take care of those kids, all admirable stuff. But at 50, kids are probably gone or close to it. Now you have a chance to play massive catch-up. Mm-hmm. And you might have to work a couple of years longer. Big deal. But you don't know what you need to do until you have a plan put together. You're flying blind until you sit down and put some pen to paper and some numbers.
Exactly. And that's part of what just making sure that you know what your budget is, your monthly margin is, and you actually sketch out what your bills, the income, the outgo is. It's easier now to do that than
it's got to pencil out.
Yeah.
This math has to pencil out.
Mm-hmm. And if not, you need to figure a way to make it happen. Here's what you can do. You can sit down with my friends at Premier Investments and Wealth Management. They can walk you through these things. They're doing more than wealth advisor for your retirement. Wealth is about more than just investing for retiring. Wealth is about saving money in a proper way so that you can have an emergency fund, so you can sleep at night, so you can figure out the answers to the big questions, so that you can be satisfied once you retire that, you know what, I'm ready to spend this money. I know how I'm going to go into retirement. They will walk with you, Trent, from 40 all the way to 85, when odds are you and I will pass away from this earth. Let's make sure it's a little bit longer than that. Get in touch with my friends at Premier Investments and Wealth Management. Let them help you work on your financial future. PremierIWM.com. Click Get Started. Answer a few questions. They'll provide one-page Premier Vision document and a free no-obligation consultation in person, over the phone, Zoom. They'll come to you, you come to them, whatever. They'll hand you that document and walk through it with you so that you have a roadmap for your financial future. Premier Investments and Wealth Management website, again, PremierIWM.com, or call 800-383-6590. That's 800-383-6590. Premier Investments and Wealth Management named to Forbes 2026 Best in State Wealth Management Teams. For Elias Randall, for Jonas Everett, for the Big Kahuna, Roger Abel, my name is Doug Wagner. We'll talk to you next time on the Premier Investments and Wealth Management Financial Program.
Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC. The opinions voiced in the show are for general information purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, and financial or tax advisor prior to investing. Premier Investments and Wealth Management and LPL Financial do not provide specific individualized tax or legal advice. We suggest that you discuss your specific situation with a qualified tax or legal advisor. Rebalancing a portfolio may cause investors to incur tax liabilities and or transaction costs, and does not assure a profit or protect against loss. Economic forecasts set forth may not develop as predicted, and there can be no guarantee that strategies promoted will be successful. All performance referenced is historical and is not a guarantee of future results. All indices are unmanaged and cannot be invested into directly.
There's no assurance that the techniques and strategies discussed are suitable for all investors, yield positive outcomes. The purchase of certain securities may be required to affect some of the strategies. Investing involves risks including possible loss of
There is no guarantee that a diversified portfolio will enhance overall returns or outperform a non-diversified portfolio. Diversification does not protect against market risk. Dollar cost averaging involves continuous investment in securities, regardless of fluctuations in price levels. Investors should consider their ability to continue purchasing through periods of low price levels. Such a plan does not assure a profit and does not protect against loss in declining markets. Forbes' Best in State Wealth Management Teams ranking was developed by Shook Research and is based on in-person, virtual, and telephone due diligence meetings, and a ranking algorithm that includes a measure of each team's best practices, client retention, industry experience, review of compliance records, firm nominations, and quantitative criteria, including assets under management and revenue generated for their firm. Investment performance is not a criterion because client objectives and risk tolerances vary, and advisors rarely have audited performance reports. Shook's research and rankings provide opinions intended to help investors choose the right financial advisor and team, and are not indicative of future performance or representative of any one client's experience. Past performance is not an indication of future results. Neither Forbes nor Shook Research receive compensation in exchange for placement on the ranking. For more information, please see www.shookresearch.com. Shook is a registered trademark of Shook Research, LLC.